Day 3 was another one that I was pretty excited for. There were at least 3 events that we knew for that day that should have been good ones for me. So I thought, hey, I think I'm in 9th place at this point. I can really make a surge and get myself into the top 5 after day 3. It started with the Madison Triplets, which was a swim, paddle, run event. All things that I feel confident in and things that I had trained throughout the year. Started off the swim pretty hot.
And there it is, the mass start. And this is the scariest thing when you talk about any sort of open water swimming.
Even though I felt smooth and got out of the water 3rd,
Noah Ohlsen and Ben Smith.
I think that it caught up to me somewhere in the middle of the paddle. In 2015, when we used the same prone paddle, I actually caught people on the paddle, and for whatever reason, it was the contrary this year. And when I got off for the run, I just didn't feel right. I felt exhausted, and my energy level was really low, and my legs were really heavy, and it was not the way I wanted to feel starting a 1.5 mile run. And rather than taking what I thought could have been a top 5, top 3 even finish on that event, I finished it in 12th.
Now Noah Ohlsen. So Smith takes 11th and Ohlsen will lock up 12th.
So, a little disappointing, not an absolute catastrophe, but just not quite the way I wanted to start that day. The aptly named Chaos event was the 2nd event of that day, and it was actually one of the coolest events that I've ever done at the games. We had no idea what the movements were, what the time frame was, what the rep scheme was. We were just going out on the floor and they told us,
on 3, 2, 1, go, you're gonna run to your judge and whatever happens to be right there, and they're gonna tell you go. And it's gonna be obvious what you need to do. They are not gonna tell you how much you need to do until you finish that. Then you're going to advance to another thing you might need to do. They're not going to tell you how much of that you need to do either until you're done. Then they're going to repeat that and repeat that and repeat that through the whole field until the end.
I feel like I handled that one relatively well. I don't know if other people panicked, but I feel like I had my head on straight and just went out at kind of a moderate to high pace, because I didn't know how long the event was going to be. I didn't want to go out ripping, and vice versa. I didn't want to be too conservative. Kind of pulled the middle ground, and I think I got to the final implement of the event, which was the sled drag, somewhere in the top 10. As I picked the straps up into my hands, I told myself to be tough, and I wanted to finish all the way without stopping. Unfortunately, right in the middle of the sled pull, my legs just kind of went numb and were quivering, so I had to take a quick break. That was another one similar to the Battleground event where I held back a little bit, that I also felt kind of disappointed that I hadn't been able to just pull that all the way through. Ended up taking an 11th place finish rather than what maybe could have been a top 5. The 2 events that had been announced for that night were big wheelhouse workouts for me. I decided, you know what, I'm in a points position right now where I need to go for it. And rather than being conservative and taking an okay finish on both, I thought I'm going to try to win this first workout and just kind of see what happens on the second one. And so I went for it, full send, as the kids say these days.
In a unbroken set by Noah Ohlsen, a broken set by Matt Fraser. So what I like is that Noah's really pushing the pace here. He needs those points.
We got to the final set of snatches and muscle-ups, and I think I was the first one to step forward to the snatch bar. I hit 4 of the 6 reps, and as I was transitioning forward, I got a no rep.
Willie George on the left, Noah Ohlsen.
That slowed me down a little bit, and Willie Georges and Matt Fraser both finished the snatches at the same time as me.
As Noah Ohlsen moves on for his final set, and here comes Matt Fraser, and the crowd comes to its feet to watch this showdown.
I was just praying for a Hail Mary that I was going to be able to hold on for all of them.
Who will break first?
Look at the way that Noah's doing that. He's actually pushing himself. Oh!
Unfortunately, I was not able to, and at 4, my grip just started giving out on me. And when I went for the 5th one, I kind of slipped off the bar. Willie finished, Matt hopped up and finished, and then I finished shortly behind him. So I took 4th place on that event, and I just felt crushed because it was right there, and I felt like it could have been a moment just like the night before on Fibonacci, that something that I would share with the crowd and remember forever. So I was more disappointed than anything in what could have been.
I thought Noah was going to be able to go unbroken, and as he got there, you could see the struggle, and as he started to fail.
The event right after, we had a 1-minute reset and had to go through 21-15-9 chest to bar pull-ups and light barbell snatches, and I ended up taking a 24th place finish on that.
He will factor in. Noah Ohlsen is across the finish line.
And had I taken a first and a 24th, I think I would have been okay with that because I would have had that moment. But because I took 4th and 24th, I went to bed that night really disappointed and just not excited to be sitting in 8th place going into the final day of competition, whereas last year I was going into the final day in 2nd place.